Hello everybody and welcome to Blue Jays Today. We're your boys. We always got something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host Nicholas Playlog. And today guys, we are talking about the growing rumors about a Bo Bichette trade from the Toronto Blue Jays. This is not something that I anticipated that we would be even in this offseason at all, but here we freaking are. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, before we get into all of this, let's start at the beginning, dude. Let's start with where this rumor kicked off, because it has really snowballed over the last few days.
Yeah, I mean, I sent this to our little Blue Jays Today group chat. Shout out to the boys in there, and you were first to say, I don't know how reliable this guy is, how legitimate he is. You got Matt Causey here saying, I'm hearing the Cubs have talked to the Blue Jays about Bo Bichette, who would play third base for the Cubs. And he references that was hinted by K Feeds. And then John Morosi last year, apparently, and I missed this, apparently was discussing a potential Bo Bichette trade as well there. And this kind of blew up. You can see it's got a 1.1 million views.
Yeah.
And then what happened today, the day of recording, now it's going to be yesterday when this comes out, is John Morosi going on MLB Networks and now talking about it as if it's an actual possibility for the Chicago Cubs. Because you have this guy coming out and saying that they actually engaged in conversations. You have the big network now starting to pick it up and talk about what the reality would look like, and primarily what John Morosi is talking about, what the reality would look like for the Chicago Cubs and why that would make sense.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on, first of all, it's growing so much, it's blowing up. We never thought we'd have this conversation, like I said. What is your first kind of reaction to the idea that Bo Bichette could be engaged in trade conversations with any other team?
Yeah, well, my first instinctual reaction is, fuck no, like, are you kidding me? This is the Toronto Blue Jays' best hitter. This is the guy that I think a lot of us are thinking maybe we build around, right? Maybe we build around this guy for the future. So anytime a player like that is thrown into trade conversations, unless it is literally for the top 5 MLB players in all of the MLB, all of them coming to us, I'm like, absolutely not, right? And when you watch that clip from John Morosi, we'll put it in the description down below, guys, because we thoroughly encourage you guys to go watch it, create your own opinion, right? He makes a lot of strong arguments for the Chicago Cubs, right? He talks about how they're losing Cody Bellinger. This is true, right? That's a big bad. He talks about how they might want to convince Shohei Ohtani to come to their team, right? That is something that could be true as well. He talks about how, even though they have Dansby Swanson, well, maybe they can move Bo Bichette to, or move Dansby Swanson, to third base,
Or it'd be Bo Bichette that would go to third base. You're right. Bo Bichette would go to third base.
Okay, didn't even pick up on that, but apparently that is something that he's arguing as well, right? So he's making a lot of strong arguments for the Cubs, but he's not actually making any arguments for the Toronto Blue Jays, right? He is only considering this trade from one standpoint, and from a Toronto Blue Jays standpoint, I don't think it makes any sense.
Yeah, well, he tossed in the one thing for the Blue Jays. Oh, well, they're going to get back some prospects. That's assuming that the Toronto Blue Jays are in a rebuild kind of mode, retool kind of mode, which is not what the Blue Jays have intended on at all for this offseason. You had Mark Shapiro we're bringing this back up. Mark Shapiro came out almost a month ago, if not more at this point, saying that the priority is to sustain the opportunity to win. Yeah, the Cubs, like John Morosi says, has a very large and deep pool of prospects. But those are prospects, guys who have not touched an MLB field. The Blue Jays need to spend a lot of money this offseason, per Mark Shapiro, to buy ready now MLB players. And by trading away one of your current stars, it doesn't make a lot of sense, which he's not referencing at all on MLB Network. So that's why it's blasphemous for me. Everyone's just counting the Blue Jays out already based on our underwhelming and underachieving seasons we've had the past 2 years.
Yeah, like, need I remind you, John Morosi, of the pitching core on the Toronto Blue Jays? You cannot let that window pass you by. Gosman and Bassett and Burrios and Kikuchi. These are all dudes who are getting paid millions upon millions upon millions of dollars the Toronto Blue Jays have invested in. They're not automatically going to say, okay, boys, we know that you were a top 3 pitching unit in all of MLB last year, but you know what? We don't think it's working. Let's completely rebuild. That's never going to happen. That window of having all of those pitchers That does not come around every single day. You build around something like that. So the only way, in my opinion, that I could ever see a Bo Bichette trade happening, and even then I don't know, the only way that I could see it happening is maybe for those Toronto Raptors fans out there, if it was a DeMar DeRozan for a Kawhi Leonard sort of deal, right? You trade away a very, very good player in the MLB with 2 years left on his deal for a incredible player in the MLB for 1 year, right? That's the only way that I could see something like that happening.
Whereas, you look at the Cubs roster and they don't really have that player that's like so much better than Bo Bichette that it would make even any sense. The Toronto Blue Jays, they've built this team. You're talking about that pitching staff. They've built that pitching staff for a reason to compete right now.
Yeah.
They signed Bo Bichette on a 2-year extension to keep him happy and to make him play well, which he did last year, because they want to win right now, right? And so, unless they do that kind of deal, I don't see this happening at all. But let's play into this world just a little bit. I want to go back a little bit because the rumor right now is that the Cubs and the Blue Jays have engaged in those kind of conversations. I want to believe it's the Chicago Cubs coming to them. Right. I don't think Mark Shapiro is going out there and shopping Bo Bichette.
Well, but I do want to just jump in there and say, right, anyone can spin anything anyway, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody is guilty of clickbait, and I would not be surprised at all if John Morosi is saying, well, they engaged in conversations, and the conversations was, hey, Toronto, do you want to trade Bo Bichette? And Toronto goes, no, right?
Absolutely.
That is still engaging in a conversation, even if they shut him down completely.
Yeah, I agree. So let's go into a little bit more because we don't know what exactly is. I firmly believe that's kind of what it is, or it could be as simple as, well, what would you offer?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you're always going to listen, what would you offer? And then they talk, and then you go, no, or whatever it might be. But let's say Ross is starting to counter a little bit, like, okay, well, I'll do it if you give me la 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 la. What would you say to that hypothetical scenario to Ross Atkins? What would you want to say to him?
Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
If he's engaging in trading Bo Bichette.
There is nobody on the Chicago Cubs that I would trade Bo Bichette for.
Absolutely.
That's all it comes down to, right? The one player that keeps getting thrown around right now is Christopher Morel, right? That's somebody, is an exciting young guy, right? Who could be somebody who could be Bo Bichette, right? It's almost like that meme in Family Guy where it's like, hey, do you want to have this boat or do you want to have this box that could be a boat? It's a mystery box. It could be this.
Yeah.
You're trading Bo Bichette for a bunch of guys who could be Bo Bichette, which could be enticing if you are a rebuilding team, but that's not where the Toronto Blue Jays are, right? These guys, everybody who's listed right here, Morel and Casey and Tristiantos or whatever, this is a very enticing package for another team. The team's kind of somebody else.
The Pirates.
The Pirates.
The Colorado Rockies.
Exactly. This is beautiful. But if you go and you trade this right now, if you're the Toronto Blue Jays and you do something like this, what is that saying to your pitching core, to all of your veterans? What's that saying to Guerrero? What's that saying to your fan base? It is saying, we're not confident enough in this team, in this coaching staff, in this culture, in this organization to win with the squad that we currently have. And if you're not comfortable enough with that, then when will you be?
You already had a big identity change last offseason when you traded away Teoscar Hernandez and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. You don't want to go through another identity change where you literally trade away the best bat on your team. The problem with the Jays is they don't have enough bats. Trading away your best bat, what does that tell, again, like your team, what does that tell your fan base? I had on Twitter, and shout out to Robbie Hyde, he's absolutely amazing. Love his YouTube channel, love following him on Twitter, love what he has to say. He tweeted at us this morning and he said, what do you think about this Blue Jays today? And I literally sent a gif of riots, of people with pitchforks, and I'm like, the Jays fan base, this is the Jays fan base on Ross Atkins' doorstep the day that he makes that trade.
Yeah.
Because you're telling the fan base, yeah, we're going to take a little bit step back. You're trying to outbrain yourself. If you're trying to convince yourself that trading for these guys right here, Morel could maybe be Bo Bichette. He had the same OPS as him last year. Maybe he's replaced there, and then you get some. You're just overbraining it because you're not considering the human factor that this kind of trade would make.
We literally have nights designated to Bo Bichette. We have graphics where it's the Bo's flow, right? Like these part of the Toronto Blue Jays culture at this point. We have bobbleheads of Bo Bichette, right? Like this is a dude who is ingrained in the Toronto Blue Jays, and I will stand firm with what I said earlier in this podcast, which is the only way that you would trade a Bo Bichette, and I'm still not convinced that even this would happen, but the only way that you do that is if you truly believe that you are giving yourself a better opportunity to win right now. And the only player that I could potentially see on the trade market right now who might do that is Juan Soto.
Yeah.
And I still don't even know if that deal would make sense.
Because just like you're saying, right, you have 1 year of Juan Soto and 2 years of Bo Bichette.
Yeah.
So like the trade value would kind of equal out, but you'd be compacting that 1 year. Like this is the year.
Yeah.
And for me personally, you've built your rotation for 2 more years at least. So I would rather see him continue with this window of Bo Bichette.
That's what I'm saying, right? I still don't even know if it makes sense. And then we're not even considering the San Diego Padres aspect of things where it's like that would never make sense for them.
Dude, I keep thinking about how the Padres are we're kind of getting the Padres treatment right now. Oh, a good team, underperforming, got great players. Let's go and pick off Juan Soto and Tatis.
Right.
The fact that Tatis is coming up in trade conversations is also, I think, ridiculous. You have that guy forever.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Literally ever. Why in the hell would you trade him?
Yeah.
It makes no sense, guys.
Yeah, no, I truly do believe that like everything that's going on with this Bo Bichette stuff, this is a bunch of smoke. Ross Atkins, listen to me right now if you're watching this, which I highly doubt that he is, but
Yeah.
if you are, dude, Bo Bichette should not be on the trade block at all, man. This is a guy that you need to be talking about extending right now, thinking about having on your team for a decade or more. Trading Bo Bichette at this point, that completely ruins the next 2 years.
Yeah, I can make it very simple for you, Ross, if you are listening. Go sign Bellinger.
Literally.
Go sign Ohtani. I mean, it's not that simple because every other team is going to be in on him, on those 2 guys, but that's how you improve your team without giving up the identity.
And for Christ's sake, man, we have a ton of prospects that aren't playing right now.
Yes.
If you are really itching to get prospects, maybe play your guys who you currently have, like Tiedemann or Martinez or Barjor or any of the other guys that you want to name.
Yeah.
We have a bunch of dudes who need playing time, so maybe start with them before going to the Chicago Cubs.
I can't agree more. Guys, let us know all your thoughts about the Bo Bichette potential trade rumors that are going around the Twitter, the MLB. You let us know if that's a realistic possibility and if you would actually make that move yourself.
Please make sure to like and subscribe. Also, $3 a month become a Patreon member. Shout out and thank you to every single one of our current Patreon members. You guys are awesome, as well as our YouTube members too. We appreciate all of y'all.
Thank you so much for watching. And go Jays, go!